What's going on, everyone? Darkside Phil here with an update to the ongoing developing story about the impending virtual reality wave that is going to be hitting all of our homes shortly. Just announced yesterday at the Game Developers Conference 2016, the PlayStation VR now has pricing data. We know what's going to come with it. We've got all this technical info. It's very exciting, and I wanted to talk about it for a little bit today. A little while ago, I actually covered a story about the Oculus Rift, which had pricing revealed to be $599, and a lot of people were completely up in arms saying, how could this be something that the average person would want? $600 just to get a headset for the Oculus Rift, and of course, keep in mind, you still need a high-end PC to run it with all these graphical requirements of a certain graphics card and such, so really, realistically, to use the Oculus Rift could run you somewhere around $1,000 to $1,500, and people were like, okay, it's the cutting edge of technology, great, but the common person isn't going to want that. That's far too expensive for a technology that's in its very early stages right now. So we've all had our ears and eyes open, listening in for more info from a competitor for the Oculus who would basically come out and say, here's a better price point, and try to appeal to the masses. And so, to some extent, it appears that Sony has done just that when yesterday they announced that the PlayStation VR would be releasing this coming October for the price tag of $399. Now, before everyone jumps out of their seat in excitement, it's important to discuss what that actually comes with so you understand the situation. The PlayStation VR will be coming with a VR headset and headband to attach the headset to your head. It also comes with a piece of hardware that I guess they're kind of terming the VR box, which actually takes care of a few different things. Number one, it creates 3D audio for any standard headset that you plug into this PlayStation VR unit, which is kind of cool that you could take any kind of a headset and get almost directional audio out of it just because you bought the PlayStation VR. It also is going to be allowing you to have pass-through and have a secondary display for the PlayStation VR when you play it. So allow me to explain what that means, because it's a lot different from the other VR offerings coming out. Basically, PlayStation VR isn't just for the person wearing the headset. It also, with this VR box, allows you to display either the right eye at a cropped aspect ratio on your television, or it allows you to have a full 720p display of whatever the game is that you're playing on your television. So basically, it's kind of like one person gets to play, but everyone else gets to spectate. Other VR units aren't really offering this. It's just you put on the headset, you play the game, and that's it. So it's interesting that Sony is kind of taking this route with VR and saying, we understand that one person may be playing, but other people also want to take advantage of that. And just that one thing alone, that VR box that's coming with the PlayStation VR, is a huge selling point for someone like me who does direct capture and covers all of his gameplay. Because it has that box, I will now be able to participate in VR-style gameplay, but you, the viewer, will actually be able to see what's going on. Sure, you won't have the full VR experience, but you'll at least be able to see and react to what I'm doing inside of a VR environment, which is pretty cool, and it's pretty awesome that Sony thought of that and to include that with their package. Also, the PlayStation VR comes with a whole ton of cables to plug everything up and hook it together, and that's about it. So at launch, you're going to get the headset, you're going to get this VR box, and a bunch of cables. So the question is, what is missing that is included with something like the Oculus Rift? Well, it should be clarified here that the Oculus Rift comes with all the technology involved in order to use it besides the high-end PC that you need to hook it up to. The PlayStation VR technically does not, because to use the PlayStation VR, you're going to need either a DualShock controller, which obviously if you have a PlayStation 4, you already have this, but it needs to be mentioned, it doesn't come with it. In addition, you actually need the PlayStation camera, which a lot of people, quite honestly, did not get. This was something that was available at launch for the PlayStation 4, and I bought it then because I wanted to see what the technology could do. And if you remember, they actually had the PlayStation Playroom that was released with the PlayStation 4, where people were using this camera to do all kinds of stuff. I mean, it had altered reality with little robots and stuff, and I actually messed around with it on launch day. But in addition to that, people were doing some pretty nasty stuff with this camera, including porn and other kinds of stuff, which Sony did not actually foresee, and eventually went back and kind of changed the whole thing because people were doing such nasty stuff with it. But it needs to be said, this camera is needed to use the PlayStation VR. This camera runs for around 40 to 60 bucks depending on where you find it, so it's another $60 added to the price tag in order to use the unit. So, in reality, the PlayStation VR actually costs around 460 bucks unless you just happen to own the camera. Now, another thing is that the PSVR actually works with the Sony Move. Yeah, remember the PS Move or Sony Move, those weird-looking controllers with the colored balls, when Sony was cashing in on the motion controls of the Wii that were so popular back then, and they said, we gotta jump on the bandwagon too, and then they released probably like a dozen games that used the PS Move, including Heavy Rain, which they forced the game developers of Heavy Rain to not make DLCs and instead make a PS Move version of their game. Fucking ridiculous, right? And then they just dropped it because they realized no one cared about the motion controls anymore. The gimmick had already died out with the Wii, which was dropping in sales. They were too little too late, and the PS Move basically became a relic. If you went to trade it in a GameStop, they would literally give you like $1 for a controller. So it's pretty hilarious that the PS Move, of all things, the thing that everyone got rid of, is now compatible with the PlayStation VR. Now, it's not required, it is optional, and I'm going to be honest, I think 95% of people who are going to play the thing are going to say, I want to use the regular controller. No one's going to want to use these silly-ass motion controls again. We're not going to get back to that whole fucking rigmarole that we had, 5-6 years ago. But it needs to be said, it's interesting that it is compatible, although I doubt anyone's really going to care. So what does this really mean? Well, let's be honest here. PlayStation 4 has a huge installed user base. PS4 is the #1 console of this console generation. It's dominating the market, where the Wii U and the Xbox One are basically way far behind. So PSVR launching for a cheaper price tag than the other offerings that are coming out very shortly is an ingenious move, because anyone who maybe wants to jump on the VR craze but can't afford the giant amount of just startup pricing of things like the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive are gonna go for this guy. Now, it should be said, the graphical performance of the PSVR is not as good as those other units. Those other units have higher resolution, and the fact that they're going to be working with kind of PCs with high-end graphics cards, of course, whatever you play on those is going to end up looking better. But when it comes to being more readily available, getting a user base who's going to be using VR from the get-go, like right now, the PSVR, to me, looks like it has a huge advantage. I mean, just several $100s of a discount on price, and the fact that everyone already has a PS4 is kind of a no-brainer. If you want VR and you don't want to drop a ridiculous amount of money to use it, this is going to be your way to do it. And it should definitely be stated here that Sony has partnerships with tons of game developers, and already has spoken with one, such as DICE, who are now making a Star Wars Battlefront experience exclusive for the PlayStation VR. There's also a bunch of other game developers that are bringing back all kinds of genres, like rhythm-based games and stuff like that. Now with this new kind of first-person VR, immersion, it could actually explode into a different kind of gaming experience. And I think that Sony has really done a great job at this point of not only creating a competitive product, but one that most people are not going to care about. A small graphical downgrade, the fact that you can easily capture and or share your experience by having a second display that other people can watch. I mean, it almost once again seems to me like this is a situation like back when it was going to be the PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One. With the Xbox One, wow, we're going to be next gen, we're going to have everything digital, we're going to have all this, all that. And it was too early. Xbox One at launch was trying to force too many ideas down people's throats that they weren't ready for yet. PlayStation 4, so we're just going to be kind of more catered towards what the market wants right now. We're going to listen to the common gamer, and that's what we're going to provide. And now look at how big of a lead Sony is in the console generation that we're in. And now take a look at VR. Once again, it seems to me like Sony is listening to the consumer. They're saying, okay, the consumer doesn't want a high, giant, price tag just for the sake of a little bit maybe of a jump in technology. People don't care about having the cutting edge as long as they can experience something that's new and fun and different, and they don't break the bank. And in addition, the fact that it seems like they're going to have game developers that are going to be working on these games, while, as I discussed several months ago, the Oculus Rift at launch is going to have, a couple big games that are compatible with it, but nothing that's like, wow, I have to run out and buy it. I mean, if people say, wow, there's a Star Wars game and there's these cool other games out here that you need to play on the PSVR, people will buy it. And I think that's the major difference here. It's price and game developers that are going to be working with these companies. And I'll be completely honest here with everyone. I'm not sold on VR. I was very, skeptical of it back when we were talking about the Oculus Rift, and I still am. I'm not sure that VR isn't just another gimmick, like motion controls, that's going to die out after a year or so of launch, and people are going to say it's too expensive and there's no reason to get it and there's no games for it. But for a $400 price point, I actually think I'm probably going to get the PlayStation VR later this year. It's a no-brainer. Experience VR firsthand, be able to record and share the experience with others. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, why wouldn't I? Versus investing over $1,000 to play on an Oculus Rift or HTC Vive that is not going to even have the functionality that I need to record and share with others. It's kind of a no-brainer situation, and I was one of the biggest skeptics, and I still am, but I think I might actually participate in the VR generation and the launch of VR with gaming because it's so cheap with the PlayStation. So, quite honestly, we're still in the early stages. Who knows what's going to happen between now and the launch of the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive and then come October? We don't know. But initially, right now, I'm pretty interested in the PSVR from the information that was spread at GDC, and I cannot wait for more. What do you think? Leave a comment on the video and let me know. Are you interested now in VR? What do you think about the cheaper price point of the PSVR? Share your thoughts. Let's get some discussion going. And I look forward to covering these kind of stories even more as we progress through the year. And hey, when October comes, I think I'm going to probably be one of the people to jump on and get the PSVR and share that with you and let you know what I think. So, that's it. Thanks for watching the vlog, and I'll see you later this year for more interesting information on virtual reality. Peace out, everyone.